Jai Hind, everyone. We have with us today Captain Gaurav Bajeta. He is ex-5 Gurkha Rifles Frontier Force, and presently he is head workplace infrastructure for Urban Company, which is a very well-known unicorn. Aj, though we have been having conversations with him around facility management and general overview, budgeting as to how it can help transitioning officers and all. Today, I would like to understand, gain his perspective on how to manage the people and teams in the facility management and the workplace infra space. So, welcome to today's talk, Captain Vijay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me over.
मैं स्टार्ट ही आपसे कर देता हूँ कि मुझे बताएं व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट टीम्स एंड स्किल सेट्स and the professionals you engage to keep the fort protected. One has to say to make sure that the business continues.
Yeah. So this is, I think, from a team perspective, I just want to give some context. The reason why Fauji's generally do well in these roles is that this function of workplace and infrastructure, facility management is a very, very manpower heavy function. You need people to execute your tasks. And I will just start from one end. The most people heavy functions within this super category is the typical facility management function, which is office services, where you have to do housekeeping. So starting from your cleaners, male, female, to your pantry boys who are stewards, uh, to your supervisors, your technicians, AC and electrical technicians, your repair and maintenance technicians. This is the group of people that manages the facilities, housekeeping, and technical services of any office. The other big group of people that fall within this function is security, and security is basically guarding. So the guards sitting at various entries and exits, and also managing some key critical processes of inward, outward of material. So guards are the next big chunk of people that get employed here. Housekeeping and guards form a significantly high number of people that you manage. So one is the operational team, the housekeepers and guards themselves, and then there's a big chain of people which they report into. Like there are supervisors. Supervisors report into site leads report into regional lead reports into, say, country lead reports into global leads. So it's a very well defined chain of command, starting from the lowest to the highest level. Two places where a lot of manpower is utilized. Other than this, I think the people that you manage and specific skills. So firstly, the skills required in these two categories, I just want to call them out. It is Fauji skills, period. If you were a good Fauji, you will be a good manager here. It is exactly the same thing. Look at these people as your Jawans. The way you looked at your Jawans, the way you looked at their duties, the way you looked at their problems, the way as an officer you solved their problems, the way you spoke for them, it is exactly the same. There is no difference at all. There are also, add-on responsibilities of contracts, of payments, but the principle behind the management, I would say, remains the same. So if you're an officer who was liked by your Jawans, means you possess the core skills of being a good facility manager. You will be liked by your people because you have to do the same things. You have to take care of them and you have to get work out of them, right? So that's one area where people are utilized. The other teams that are basically within these functions, I'll just quickly call them out. One is the leasing and the transaction team. So the people which work in these teams are primarily the ones who search for spaces, offices, in simple words, brokers, who work with brokers. So they have to have a key specific skill set of knowing what's happening in the market of real estate. Where are the rentals cheap? Where are they costly? What are the reasons? So smartness on negotiations. with landlords who are very tough people to, negotiate with. Other than this, then there are, your other teams of IT infrastructure, where a lot of specific, core technical skills of IT infrastructure are required, wherein, the people who basically manage your laptops, your Wi-Fi, your firewalls within the offices. So that's a very unique, specific skill set. These people have to have certain background, technical background, to be able to, manage this certain function. The other functions like transport, travel, you would definitely want people to have, previous, skills of awareness of hospitality, travel, and everything. However, I feel that this is not mandatory. Like, these are very, very customer centric people skills. You don't have to have worked in a hotel to know how to manage customer expectations, how to, get the best hotels, give good experience to your staff when they travel. So these, I would say, are fairly softer skills which can easily be developed. You can get a fresher and teach him how to be a good, transport manager. There is no specific, skill set required there. Security, yes, the security and risk management side, there are specific skill sets of, a crisis response, managing panic, being able to keep your head cool when, there's a lot of crisis and panic around you, being able to be decisive, being able to speak with, police, government, law enforcement. So different unique skill set, and a lot of OGs are already there. A lot of JCOs and NCOs are already in this space, with the fact that they are good at this job. They manage crisis well. They have done that when they were in Forge, and therefore they usually get employed for these roles. So just to sum it up, I'd say range of skill sets, primarily, soft skills, hospitality skills, customer centric skills, problem solving skills, crisis management skills. But above everything, the skill that I would say is required by people who are in this has to be problem solving skills. You have to be seen as a problem solver and not as a person who only takes directions and executes. Like, you have to think before the problem, and you have to have a solution available for it, right? You cannot just be good at execution, that somebody has tells you and you do it. You have to be good enough to be able to decide how it has to be done, how the problem has to be solved.
From what I could understand, there is uh, a fair mix of small managerial positions and then a large blue collared workforce. So, how relevant is the 4G experience as an officer in managing this kind of a team composition?
Very, very relevant, very, very sought after. Fauji's come with very, very special skills, and we should be very, very proud of it, and we should, like, speak very, very confidently about it, because these are the similar skills that will get you success in this new role that you're looking at, workplace. And when I say workplace, please understand, workplace is all encompassing. It's facility management, real estate, travel, infrastructure, everything. Like, you can call it anything, different companies call it differently. The Forgy experience, if you are doing well in the Forge and you are enjoying that work, mostly you will enjoy the work here, because it's fairly common requirement of doing, creating a good atmosphere for the people who are under who you are supposed to manage and command within limited resources, is similar to what you're expected to do out here. So Forgy skill sets are very, very sought after, and I continuously urge Forgies that do not, get stuck in this mindset that I will not join admin and security. The last 7 8 years, I have seen this mindset. There are so many Forgies, because they think it comes easy, therefore I'll not join it. So let me try something swankier, sexier, let me go into project management, let me go into banking. You're most welcome to get into everything, but this is one area where you get a competitive advantage. So if you don't do this, somebody else is going to come and do it.
My last question to you on this particular topic is, since you mentioned that there's a lot of contract development and vendor, so how do you typically go about it? It's like, how do you select and manage competent third-party vendors, service providers for making sure the business continues? What are those typical criteria when evaluating these potential vendor partners for your jobs?
So these are fairly standard practices, sir. Selection of vendors usually happens through RFPs, which stands for request for proposals. For example, I need a guarding vendor or a housekeeping vendor in my offices. So I will go out into the market to 5 to 6 vendors, and I will explain the requirement to them and ask them to bid for this particular job that they're required to do. And then there is, cost is obviously one factor where the least cost is given preference. However, let me clarify, this decision is not always on the least cost, because it's always very easy to give the least cost and then not be able to deliver the quality expected. So there are a lot of other criterias that we also check before selecting a vendor. And basic criterias like, what is the peer feedback, what is the client feedback of this vendor. So we get them to share references of 5 clients that they're already servicing, and we get feedback from them because they are already using this vendor and they know the pros and cons of the vendor. Then we also do due diligence into where their office is, what their size is, their balance sheet, and see how big this organization is and will it be able to sustain through the contract duration. So there is a lot of due diligence around this, just not while selecting, it's also post selecting. There is, especially these manpower vendors, there is a lot of government mandate of minimum wages act, which has to be complied to, and the documentation expected for this act, within this act, on minimum wages, hours of working, conditions of working, are very, very stringent and need to be followed. So there's a lot of documentation required which needs to be followed, and this is not very difficult to learn. It's very, very basic. Whenever somebody picks it up, it can very easily be learned.
Thank you so much for that discussion. It was very relevant in terms of understanding it from getting the right people together for getting the job done in the workplace infra. Thank you for your time.